We are back on Inside Politics with our guest today, the editor of the new Nashville Banner online news service, a membership subscription news service, Steve Cavendish. Steve, continue to talk about the mayor's race. There already are two candidates in the field. Talk a little about Metro Councilman Freddie O'Connell, district councilman over in the Germantown area, and also a former aide to Mayor Carl Dean and Megan Barry, Matt Wilshire. Handicap both those two candidates. Are they contenders?
I mean, they are. Freddie is going to have a hard time raising money, I think, because he can't write a big check himself. Wilshire can and will. But right out of the gate, they've both raised money. Freddie raised $100,000 before the July disclosures, in like 6 weeks of fundraising. Wilshire has raised over $500,000 right now. It has his first fundraiser coming up next week. I think that they're both going to be able to put on campaigns. The size of them is a question mark, and Freddie's gonna struggle with that part of it. But Freddie also is a known quantity, and is kind of well respected in metro circles. So I think he's gonna lean into that. The
last two mayoral elections have become sort of big dollar events, particularly in the media. Both in 2015, we had 7 well-financed candidates. 2019, we had at least 2 or 3 well-financed candidates. Is it going to be more like that this time, or is it going to go back, maybe not quite as much money as it's been before? And if it does get to be expensive, then Freddie O'Connell has an issue. He can't compete with that.
Freddie's not going to raise $1 million ahead of this, but it is going to be expensive. When you talk to everyone who's looked at the race, or who's in the race right now, they all think it's going to be a multi-million-dollar race. Freddie understands from talking to him that he needs a little bit of things to break his way, but he thinks he's got a good shot. Otherwise, he wouldn't do it.
Wilshire has the support of 2 longtime mayoral advisors and aides under Mayor Fulton's and Dean, and that's Greg Hinote and Rich Riebling. Are those 2 pluses for him because of their experience in politics and in metro government? Or do they bring some baggage from their earlier political involvements?
At this stage, I don't think it matters. They don't necessarily bring votes, and they don't necessarily bring a ton of money. So, it's interesting to see kind of who's lining up, even at this early stage. I think that's a reaction to the Cooper, the Cooper administration, but Hinote has a lot of private clients. He's a lobbyist. He's gonna have to do business with the Cooper administration.
It appears that State Representative Bob Freeman's also looking at the race. He's got some tough decisions to make. He's got a couple of family members who have had experienced illness. So is he going to be a late decision maker about getting in?
He has the luxury of being able to make a later decision than most because he can finance some of that himself. His wife Rachel has a breast cancer diagnosis and is recovering well. She's been through treatment, and it looks like she's going to be fine. His dad Bill, who ran for mayor in 2015, owns Freeman Webb here in town, a big apartment firm. He had a stroke here recently, a mini stroke. Seems to be doing. I've been texting with him. He seems to be doing pretty well. He's got some recovery, but he's done this before. He had a mini stroke here a few years ago, and really powered through the recovery on it, and did the therapy you need to do, and it seems to be doing well.
What about Jim Gingrich? He's a new person in town. He's a retired CEO of Alliance Bernstein who moved down here, I think about the same time Amazon did, from New York. He's a non-native, and Nashville used to never be able to get elected mayor if you were non-native. But then Phil Bredesen came along, and then after that there was Carl Dean, there was Bill Purcell, and then Megan Barry. But he's making a much quicker transition than any of them did, from being a non-native to being, hey, I'm here in town.
He's been in town 4 or 5 years, and I think it's 4, because I think Alliance Bernstein came here in 2018. He was the COO. Gingrich is interesting. He got here, and as soon as he did, he got capital I involved. He's on a lot of nonprofit boards. He's been involved in a lot of different things. And he got the money, I assume, to run. He has the money to run and write a big check himself. The interesting thing is going to be, he's been on this kind of listening tour around town, talking to people about it. And I don't know who's been telling him to run or not run, but he sounds an awful lot like he wants to run. He's a smart guy, but he's going to have to overcome the fact that he has not been here very long. And Nashville's not very parochial about that. We're not
anymore.
It used to be very, but I mean, it used to be if somebody came here with only 4 years, they'd be, you get a lot of "you ain't from around here" kind of stuff. I don't think that's the case, but Gingrich is going to have to spend a lot of time educating people who he is, because you and I both kind of know who he is, but the average person doesn't, and B, convincing people that, just arriving here from New York after 4 years, that he's the right person to lead the city, and that's a tough road to go.
Steve Cavendish is our guest. He is the current editor and president of the new Nashville Banner online news subscription membership service. About to continue our conversation about Nashville and state and local and national politics after this break.